A very good morning. I'm glad you're still with us here on Morning at NTV, and many thanks for those who are joining us from wherever you are watching. We're coming to you live from the Kampala Serena Conference Center. It's time for the Kickstarter discussion, and we are putting social protection at the center. We shall be having a bit of a preamble very shortly, but we must take the heat of the moment. The Daily Monitor has a story on the front page that says a government body wants a two-term limit for women MPs. And this morning we have a women representative, Chegegwa District, Honorable Flavia Kabahenda, who is here with us. Very warm welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Welcome to the program too, Silas Augon, Member of Parliament for Kumi Municipality.
Thank you, and morning all the viewers.
Now, Uganda continues to face significant challenges in financing social protection initiatives, allocating only approximately 0.7% of its GDP to these so critical interventions. We need to understand why this is the case and what is the way forward. But as I have promised, there is something that a women representative is directly under attack, if I may use that word, but I don't think I'll be too harsh to say that. Honorable Kabahenda, the Equal Opportunities Commission says that women members of Parliament, especially those that have been elected on Affirmative Action ticket, ought to serve only 2 terms and then transition and compete with all other candidates without the privilege or the favor of affirmative action. First and foremost, what's your take on the fact that it's okay after you've been elected on the affirmative action ticket to give way for other women to also receive the kind of empowerment that brought you on board? What's your view on that very quickly?
Well, affirmative action is provided for by the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda. And even the policy on affirmative action required that after every 10 years we were supposed to review the affirmative action, counting the gains, looking at where the challenges are, where we can adjust. But since it was established, no review has taken place. I want to thank the Equal Opportunities Commission for an observation they have made. But for me, they should have been very generous to us as to give a researched kind of background towards what they are suggesting, because they can't have come from the blue. I hope they were not just sentimental, but that they have grounded findings and evidence-based research on what exactly do they want to do and why they are coming up with that. Actually, it beats my understanding when someone takes advantage of affirmative action for more than 3 terms, and why you wouldn't actually transit and tussle it with men. Go for the constituency, because at constituency level the women are doing badly. At least Equal Opportunities Commission, if it was to be equal for us, it would have tackled what challenges do women face when they go for constituency. And therefore at the transit, what can we do to ensure a smooth transition of these women who serve 2 terms as they suggest, and how they can transit to the constituency. And so for me, I'm yet to read the body of what they say, but I'm sure we should have first got a research. They disseminate a report on what they have found, and then they propose. And then we can now see how to tackle challenges at constituency and how to make a smooth transition for these women.
That is right. I do fundamentally believe that the Equal Opportunities Commission and its mandate lie very well with what we are discussing this morning, the fact that social protection is pertinent and something very important. I think the ability to empower women is also a form of social protection.
Sure.
No doubt about it. And in their report for 2022-2023, they say, since the majority of women who go to Parliament do so on the affirmative action ticket, this has become a disadvantage to women, as many people believe that this is the only way they can be elected to Parliament and hence serve the direct seats for the men. Therefore, there needs to be done what needs to be done with regards to empowerment of women is to ensure equal competition and representation. Let me go to Honorable Silas Augon and pick your mind on this particular development and how it morphs into the greater topic and discussion about social protection.
Yeah, first of all, it's a social protection matter. Yes, because definitely when we have the women representatives in the house, that's right, they shout on matters of social protection. When there is unemployment in terms of the women, go to most of the institutions and you look at the employment records, you'll always definitely find mostly it is the men who take most of the positions. Even in the political sphere, that is the same thing. So everywhere. So when we have the women voice in the house, it means they speak for social protection. That's right. And for me, my mind is a little different from the one of my chair. One, I would prefer that a woman stays more in the house, because then you'll find that they have the ability to speak in equal measure with the men in the house. I think that EOC needs to interrogate this matter critically. So for me, it's not just about equal competition down there, but what is the end result at the end of the day? Yeah, we should be looking at the performance of the women in the house, because that matters. For us in social protection, we did that woman voice in the house. But I can tell you, if you got a girl who has just finished senior 6 and you brought her to parliament, she might not even pick the microphone. She might pick the microphone only to say, my name is so-and-so, and that will be the end. We need women who have stayed in the house through that affirmative action, and they're able to speak in equal measure with the men. But
it's perfectly understandable, no doubt. But there is also a case of the current Minister for Gender and Labour, Betty Amongi, who was MP for 2 terms on the Affirmative Action ticket. Yes. But then she transitioned and trounced the men on 2 occasions.
Yes, and I can tell you those are like a few. Do the statistics and you see. First of all, if you look at the number of constituency women who are in the house right now, they are less than 15. I think they are 14. Ask yourself why. So if it's difficult to battle it down there, what about battling on issues in the house? You have a few people, talk about Honorable Flavia here. These are the people who can rise in the house and speak. Okay. So because of societal judgments, sometimes people think certain positions are supposed to be for men. I am not sure that my honorable colleague can get the benefit of coming to the house, even with the energy she has garnered, the strength politically garnered so far, if she goes for a constituency. And yet she is one of those people we look out to, and I would not love to take that risk of losing her in the house, because I know the amount of contribution she brings to this house. So affirmative action, let it be left to work naturally the way we have known it.
All right, as chairperson of the Gender, Labour and Social Affairs Committee in Parliament, do you intend to engage the Equal Opportunities Commission on this very critical aspect of social protection that entails affirmative action for women? I
think we need to, because they raise a very, very pertinent issue. I hope it is not a backlash on affirmative action. Okay. So I think we need to engage. And that is why my bottom line is Equal Opportunities Commission needs to come with a researched information so that we can pick from there and build a stronger position on whether 2 terms or 3 terms for anyone to transit, so that we don't leave anyone behind. We give opportunities to the younger women coming, but the mentorship and all that should be embedded in their recommendations, because these women need mentorship.
That's right.
So 1 term, 2 terms, the woman will have mentored herself. Nobody is there to mentor them. So by the time someone gets to the constituency, no one is in between to assist them to transit. So I think this opens a discussion for us. I want to implore Equal Opportunities Commission to engage a deeper discussion that is well-founded and evidence-based. All right, just a bit of reaction from some very prominent women. Most of them are in Parliament, but Maria Matebe, a women rights activist, says, why should you limit women? They go there, that is Parliament, to influence the direction that things must change. Ali Salaso, a former MP for Serere Women, the problem is that instead of looking for term limits for the president, they are looking at term limits for the women MPs. Betty Namboze, the MP from Mukono
Municipality. This one holds that position, not on affirmative action, but as a mainstream legislator. There is need to review these affirmative seats, not only for women, but for all other affirmative seats to see their relevance. Interesting submissions there. Now, let's step into the discussion, social protection proper. In the last 1 year, honorable members of parliament, what is the state of affairs and any concerns that could be arising that we need to pay attention as we begin this discussion on social protection? Let me begin with the chairperson.
Thank you very much. I chair the Committee on Gender, Labour and Social Development, and I also chair the Uganda Parliamentary Forum on Social Protection. I'm part of the founding people, but we have battled with this subject of social protection for some time because of the knowledge about what actually social protection is. I think there is little knowledge around social protection. People seem to think social protection is just relief, like people would get a disaster and you take them some relief. But for us, we are talking about the inbuilt social protection, life cycle approach. Social protection as a system that is intentionally designed to build resilience. And building resilience starts from childhood. Is this child in the first case registered? Birth registration. For us, that is very good social protection, because without data, you won't do social protection.
That's right.
And then, has this child fed well? Has this child got the food and nutrition? Has this child gone to school? Because all that is building resilience. So that at the time when shock comes, be it economic or social, this person we have built resilience for is able to sail through.
That's right.
Or even pick himself up back again. And so that social protection aspect, I think the whole thing lacks a knowledge, not only from the citizens, but also from the technical people who implement social protection. They are implementing it with a mind of relief. And yet for us, social protection is a development tool. It is supposed to facilitate and finance socio-economic transformation.
Okay. Honorable Augon, are you comfortable with the current framework that is rolled out by the government? From the layman's perspective, social protection is what we see that, for example, the amount of money that is given to the elderly, for example, the SAGE arrangement, but on a broader sense, NSSF is pretty much the signature for social protection in the country. And the framework is pretty clear. But according to the submission by the chairperson here, you realize that it is far greater to engage at levels as early as childhood to ensure that this is a sustained effort for the well-being of any population and the people of a country. What are your concerns for now?
First of all, I would love to appreciate government, because so far we are somewhere. We have something. My thinking is that Uganda ought to adopt the full life cycle approach to social protection. Like my chair initiated, right from childhood up to death, because along that journey there are shocks. What is it that we are doing to support these people who get shocks? A woman who has picked a relationship with a man gets pregnant, gets a baby, a man runs away and disowns you. What is it that we have in place to cater for them? Currently, we are focused on the SAGE. We are talking about the older persons. We are talking about the NSSF. We are talking about the pension schemes. In the parliament, this one of ours came recently.
The people with disability.
Not all institutions have social protection mechanisms for their employees, by the way.
That's right.
Not all. Talk about medical insurance, for instance. How many houses have that? Even in the media, I am worried. Not all media houses have social protection systems for their workers, including this one of medical. You find that they give medical insurance maybe for only the employee and the wife. What about the children? So those are the issues. You go to an industry, you go to a factory, somebody gets occupational problems, your hand is cut off by a machine, but how sure are you'll get adequately handled so that you're able to recover from the shock? Those are some of the issues currently we're grappling with. But Uganda, as a country, needs to discuss this topic deeply. And we should start by reviewing the amount of budget that we put towards social protection. If you look at the region, I think in East Africa, we are among the worst, because we are lagging behind by around having 0.7%. And yet the region has an average of maybe 2%.
3 actually.
3%. That is a huge difference. It shows that our heart is not at social protection. We need to wake up. We are still sleeping. Social protection is universal. It's supposed to be for everybody that needs it. At any time, a politician, a technical person, whoever, every one of us will need social protection.
All right. So, honorable members of Parliament.
If I may add something.
Please.
I think social protection got lost when we started looking at money more. Because there are traditional social protection systems that we had in homes.
Yes.
Because originally, our great-grandparents, for them, even when they were nurturing any child, they were pointing you to the future.
That's right.
But what kind of man will you be? You know, they were pointing you to the future. Even at 2 years, they were telling you to be a man, they were telling you to be a woman, and they were doing all that it took to prepare, to look after, to show you how to work, how to deal with issues. And then these systems got lost along the way because we started looking at money instead of harnessing traditional systems in social protection. Because we have them, we had them, and we still have them. We can harness them and join them into here. Then secondly, Honorable Augon is talking about this mainstream social protection. We have the informal sector.
Yes.
When does a woman in the informal sector go for maternity leave, for instance? Because the more days you rest, the more money you lose. So she cannot afford even to rest for 1 month after birth. She has to come back. These riders of motorcycles,
bodabodas.
What kind of social protection do they have? And yet, for them, they leave their houses knowing that there will be an accident anytime. Who picks their bills? Even the aggregated border cyclists that are working with institutionalized border sections, Safe Border and those kind, Uber and those kind of things. Are we sure that Safe Border has a social protection system for these riders? At least on whatever they earn, if only 1% could be saved to pick a bill in case they got an accident, that would be the kind of thing that we want. So social protection should not be only looked at as coming from government, but all of us must embrace, practice, and support social protection.
That's very interesting. Now, allow me focus on something that has bedeviled us for a long time: lamentation. When you hear members of parliament, ministers, and those who actually hold the pens and sign on to many of the documents that define what a population will either get or not get, actually lament more than the population, it begins to confuse some of us. At what point are we in the deliberations, for example, at committee levels in parliament, on changing what you clearly see as a disjointed way of doing things? Who is failing who? Do you put these proposals forward and then perhaps either they are not adopted by the cabinet, or has the cabinet also come forth and attempted to improve what you have, but somehow you guys have simply failed to come to a common ground? Where is the problem?
So I think the problem is coming from our nature.
Our nature as a people.
Yeah, as a people. Human beings do not agree on a matter. It's very rare where you put 10 people here and then you say we've got a decision to take, let's put it into a vote. It's very rare for you to get a 10 out of 10 on one side. Never. Very difficult.
But majority minority concept has,
yes, that concept will be there, but the other voice, as long as there's an opposing voice,
you must,
it's good enough to say that's opposition to the voice that you have. And that exactly is what happens between the parliament and the executive. Because, you know, parliament is an arm of government, but there is the other arm of government. They have their priorities, we have our priorities, the way we think, but we all ought to be thinking for the people. For me, that is the thing. But most times, there's also this issue of the amount of money we have, the performance of our economy, the real priority. As Parliament thinks this is the priority, sometimes the executive thinks the other one is the priority. But I'm happy that at certain times we're able to converge and say this is the priority, and we have executed. If you do a research, you'll find that there has been at least a point of convergence where the two have met and have agreed and they have done something. For instance, having this SAGE. At first, it was some partners out there who are helping us. By the way, has SAGE transitioned from a pilot project? Is it now mainstream? It has been mainstream. Yes, it has been rolled out. The only thing is that the age has been a concern. Yes, because at 80, you know that you have a smaller number of people benefiting. But even not all those under that bracket of 80 are benefiting. That's right. But still, what for me is very important is having consistent interactions between the arms of government, and we should mutually be talking to see how we play to the interest of the public. For me, that is the main thing. Okay. Yes. Honorable Chairperson, well, as you submit on that, I want you to help us understand how the various interventions that government has rolled out over the years, including, which is now the most popular, the PDM. We've had NOSAF arrangements under the as rolled out in northern Uganda. These all talk, or rather attend to the critical aspect of social protection and the ability to make the population resilient to the shocks of poverty, war, and so on. How do you see the implementation of these initiatives? Of course, there are challenges here and there, the criticisms, as we've all seen it, but can we believe that they are integral in rectifying the social protection agenda or position we are in as a country? Yeah, on paper, these social protection interventions that are being proposed are meant to be for all. Yeah, no doubt. But the practice is not like that. Because the older persons, the people living with disabilities, the youth, the women, are not directly targeted, even when they were given a percentage on paper, because they are told to go and integrate in the other groups. So an older person going into the other groups is to get lost, because they cannot struggle there. The way government forgets them is the way the other groups forget them. They say, but for you, where are you taking the 1 million? You are already aged. Those kind of discriminations will always come. So for us, we are saying that government needs to continue to finance the specific social protection interventions they have provided. We know that governments world over are blind. You always have to remind them, even on something they know. I want to give you an example that when we were discussing the budget for this financial year running, we met a hiccup where Ministry of Finance had cut all the subventions for special interest groups by 80%. And when we cried out, we made an alarm, and then Ministry of Finance, only one day to the discussion of the budget in the House, they told us they had done an erroneous cut, that it was erroneous on their side. But the budget was here with us. We were already passing it. And then they came up with a supplementary budget to cater for the 32.9 billion that was required for all those programs for special interest groups. Today, in the MTFs, BFP, the same thing has come. 32.9 billion cut again. So, you mean they forget so soon? Or it is a trick that they use? Let us cut where it hurts, so that we can find a way of pushing for a supplementary budget, and we push in other things. Because they may use the supplementary budget as an entrance into Parliament, but that Parliament by consensus will say, now that it is for older persons and PWDs, I think let's pass. Everybody. We shall not refuse the supplementary budget because of our people. So maybe it could be a trick that they always want to get away with this, so that they can come with a supplementary budget, which members of Parliament automatically will not refuse, so that they can hide in other items into the supplementary budget which they want to pass. But at the same time, social protection
is about equity. It's not about you have more or less. Because even at home, when we don't have enough food, there is nobody we tell not to eat.
Yeah.
We all eat, but little food.
But
now you can't tell us the resource envelope cannot accommodate some of us, that others of us should be starved because the envelope is little. For us, whatever the envelope is, we are talking about equity. Social protection is meant to answer the question of equity. So I think I want to implore Ministry of Finance and Government to take seriously the special interest groups. These are vulnerable people. What they don't know actually is that while the poverty rate is at 39%, the vulnerability rate is at 73%, meaning even I and you.
Anytime
we are vulnerable, not anytime.
A quick drop into poverty.
When I leave this place and I am knocked by a car or motorcycle,
God forbid,
that's it. My family has to come to a halt if I am the breadwinner. So each one of us has only one medical bill away from vulnerability, because you just pay for your medical bill and you enter poverty direct. So every one of us is vulnerable, and therefore when we talk about social protection, it is the safe landing that we are talking about. That in the event that each one of us is vulnerable, likely to fall into the trap, we are better off planning for our safer landing.
Honorable Augon, we are out of time. What pieces of legislation aspects need to be tweaked or changed? Are you working on any that we should be seeing in it anytime soon?
Yeah, so one of the ones that we take as a serious one is the issue of disaster risk financing. Yes, because at any time you see a disaster happen, we shouldn't be a community that is reactive, but we should be responsive enough to make sure that as quickly as possible we put in a law that ensures that when we are hit by disaster, we have quick systems that respond rather than being reactive all the time. So I think Uganda needs to move quickly, and Parliament needs to do this as fast as possible, and government should provide the money once we pass such a law and implement it. Then Ugandans will live to celebrate. I think that is the way to go.
Actually, we are even looking at the National Employment Strategy.
Yes.
As part of social protection.
Yes.
We are demanding for the National Social Protection Strategy for this country, which will lead us into a law, because we are now operating only on a policy, which has no sanctions.
Yes.
And also we are looking at a policy on special enterprise grants for special interest groups. We have a special enterprise grant for older persons who are not 80, who are less than 80. We have a special enterprise grant for PWDs. So all those policies, even a policy on parish development model, we are only operating on guidelines. We have not seen a policy yet.
Actually, we even need a law.
We need a law.
We need a law.
If PDM is going to be here forever, then we need a law.
Maybe the plan is for it not to be here forever. That's why it's been combined.
But we are being told it is here for
here
to stay.
Maybe, Chair, also one thing that we take seriously, it is not an issue of the law, but
very quickly
having a social register.
Social register.
Yes.
We need a basis.
We are demanding that.
You see what happened when we were hit by COVID. We were struggling. We go to borders. Who is doing badly here? Want to register those who are not okay. Who is not okay? Even those who are on a salary will tell you, I did it yesterday. You can't measure.
How can you want to give relief to people who are not okay, and then you demand that they have phones?
All right, Honorable.
The poor people have phones.
Honorable Silas Augon and Flavia Kabahenda, many thanks for the perspectives on social protection that you have shared. We do hope that the discussions do continue, especially at committee level and within the corridors of Parliament. That will do it for the discussion, but do stay with us. Morning at NTV does continue after the break.